Nishmas Ahuva Bechoros Perik Tes Mishna Gimel. We're continuing with the halachas of Meiser Behema. Halikuach, if someone buys animals, or they're given a present of animals, Potter mi Meiser Behema. You do not have to give Meiser Behema. The Gemara learns out because the pasuk says by Bechor banecha titin li kein tasa l'shercha v'letzeinecha. So we're makish Bechor of a Adam to Bechor of a Behema. And just like by Bechor of a Adam, there's no such musig of buying a person or getting a person as a present. So too, by Bechor Behema, Lekuach and Matana would be Pater. But since the pasuk uses the word Kein Ta'aseh L'Sharcha U'Tzeinecha, so you should do, and by Bechor there's no Asiya, rather it's born, it's Kadosh Merechem. So we say, Im Ein Inyan L'Bechor, Tanu Inyan L'Meiser Behema, and by Meiser Behema, if you get it as a present, or if you buy it, you're pater from Meiser Behema. But only if you have a flock of animal and it's born 10 animals, so those 10 animals, you give one Meiser Behema. The Mishnah continues, Ha'achin ha'shutfin shechayavim bekalbin p'turim Meiser Behema, v'shechayavim Meiser Behema p'turim in ha'kalbin, as the Mishnah explains. But before that, let's just say the halachas of shutfin by Meiser Behema and by kalbin. So by Meiser Behema, the Gemara makes a limud yia loch v'lo yishel shutfis, that if two people own 10 animals together b'shutfis, there's no chiyuv of Meiser Behema. And kalbin has to do with the halacha of machzas hashekel. The Chazal were masakin that whenever you give a machzas hashekel, besides the machzas hashekel, you have to add on a drop because of the costs of the Mishkan receiving a half a shekel and they have to convert it. So you add on a kalbin. And that halacha is dafka if you're giving a machzas shekel. But if one person's giving on behalf of his family, let's say altogether a whole shekel, so then he doesn't have to give the kalbin. Now let's continue with the Mishnah and we'll go back to the dinim that we said. Kanu mitfusas habayis. If the children receive in a Yerusha both money and animals, so then chayavin, they're going to be chayiv in Meiser Behema, because that's not shutfis, they got it Yerusha. However, in that case, you'll be pater from the kalbin, as if the father himself was giving on behalf of his son a full shekel. So he's giving half on himself, on half on his son, and b'chayagavna, you're pater from kalbin, like we just explained. But the imlav, if it wasn't Yerusha, as we'll explain in a second, then p'tur, and then you're going to be pater from Meiser Behema. What's the case that you're pater from Meiser Behema? Cholku v'chazav v'nishtatvu, if the Yerusha money was given out, and now they again become partners together, chazav v'nishtatvu, so now all the brothers receive their money and then put it back into one pot, or they receive their animals and then they put it back into one pot. So chayavim b'kulban, they're going to be chayiv in the kulban because now they are shutfin, and as if it's two separate people giving each a machzas hashekel, they would each have to give a kalban. U'peturim meiser behema, because of the gzeres hakasev that shutfin are pater for meiser behema. And in the Gemara, there's two machloksin amiroim when we say that shutfin are pater for meiser behema when they're chazru v'nishtatu because they have halacha shutvis. Could be it's dafka where they got two different types of animals, like one got gediyim and one got tiyashim, or in the other machlekes hamaram, one got 9 and the other got 10. So there was a whole splitting up going on, and then when they put it back in the pot, they become shutfin. But if it was the same thing, let's say the father only owned gediyim, and he got gediyim, and then they put it back in the pot, gediyim, then it still blibes Yerusha, and they would be chayiv in Meiser Behema. And the other Amir holds that no, every Yerusha is lekuchas. This is the famous Shita of Rabbi Yochanan, the achin shecholkul lekuchas hein. So every Yerusha is automatically considered lekuchas, and therefore when they put it back in the pot, they will have a halacha of shutfin, which are pater from Meiser Behema. One last thing on this Mishnah is making the assumption that when they got the Yerusha and they were chazer v'nishtatif, it was going both on money Yerusha and on the animals Yerusha. But technically, Rabbi Yomi in the Gemara speaks it out that it could be that legabe the money they were cholku v'chazer v'nishtatif, and legabe the animals was tfusas yad, or the other way around. But the bottom line is that if it was straight Yerusha, then they have halacha like Yarshin, not Shutfin, and if it was Chazav and Ishtatvu, then they have halacha like Shutfin. Mishnah Dalet, Hakol Nichnas Ladir Lihis Aser. The halacha of Meiser Behema applies to all animals, Chutz min Haklayim, except for an animal which is Klayim, a treifa, if it has a treifa, Yetze Daifin, if it was born through the side, through a cesarean, Umechus Zman, if it's not 8 days old, V'yasam, and if it has no mother, as the Mishnah explains, Ezu Yasam, Kol Shemesi Imo Yishenishkata, that b'shas it was born, its mother was died or shechted. What's the makar that these things are puzzle? Because you learn out from Kachim, Tachas. So the question is, if that's the case, then you should be Pater Ma'aser Behema by all the other cases that we find, Nevad, Muksa, Riveya, Nirva, Esnan Zoyna, Mechir Kelev, and the Gemara says that Hakol Nichnas Adir is La'asuye, that even on those animals there will be a Chiyah Ma'aser Behema. So the Gemara says that since by Ma'aser Behema the pasuk says L'Yavakar Bein Tov L'Ra, that even by a Balmum the halachos of Ma'aser Behema apply. We said that it's Nachal Bailam B'Mumay. So therefore, Avodah Zarah, anything that has to do with Avodah Zarah, like Muksav and Nevad, or anything that has to do with Arayas, like Erveya, Nirva, Mechir, Kelev, and Esnan Zaina, is considered mum. The Torah learns it. The Gemara learns it out. Why it's considered a mum, and therefore they would not pass a legabe ma'aser behema. Yeshua says, "Afilu nishcha te'imoy v'hashalach kayim ein ze yasam." We don't consider a yasam if you're still using the skin of the mother. The Gemara explains this. It says that Rabbi Shmuel ben Sasriel from Arkas Levena said a edus in front of Rebbe that in his place the minig was that when an animal died and it had a child, they would skin the hide off the mother and they would put it around the child. So when Rebbe heard this, he said, Niskala Taimish al Mishnah Seinu, that's the pshat in Rabbi Yeshua, that it's not considered a yasim because you're still using the mother to keep the child alive. The Taisis Yantiv has a bam kasha on this Mishnah. This Mishnah introduces us that yasim is going to be pater from Ma'aser Behema, and we said that everything is learned out from Kachim. So how come we never find in the whole Maseches Zvachim and Menachos that there's a psul of Yasam legabe Kachim? Rishash says on this kasha, Timiyasei Chazaka v'Terutzei Chalash. He doesn't like the Teretz of the Teis Yantiv, and he goes on and says a chiddush that the Tan of our Mishnah Be'emes holds that Yasam is not a psul by Kachim, it's only a psul by Ma'aser Behema. So the Gemara that Shtelsu Kachim is a little shver. The Mr. Zalman Meltzer says a similar thing, except he learns that Yasam would apply by Shar Kachim at least l'mitzvah.